hello again whenever I'm seeing you. Hello, it is great to see you, and thank you for doing this, for doing your missing work, or for just watching this for some extra help if you're still confused on it. So, today we're starting class just by practicing manipulating some problems. Our goal today is to be able to take an equation that looks like this and make it into that y equals mx plus b form that we've been used to, so that way we can graph this line. So let's just start with some manipulating problems first, so that way we can kind of get our mindset and how to manipulate again, and then from there it should be pretty easy to graph a line after the last 2 days of practice. So I'm going to model this first one here, and then I'm going to have you pause and try one on your own. So when it comes to manipulating, we're going to manipulate these and we're going to solve them for y. So that means we want to end with y equals, because that means we've now converted it to slope-intercept form. So just like prior when we've been solving equations, let's draw a line down our equal sign. And then how we're going to do this is we're going to start by first moving that x term. So here I have a plus or a positive 2x. So I'm going to move that by subtracting 2x from both sides. My 2x's cancel. I now have 3y equals 9 minus 2x. And then we divide by the number next to the y if there is one. In this case I have a 3, so I'm going to divide by 3. And when I do it to the other side, let's divide every individual thing by 3, because now those 3's cancel. We have y left over, and 9 divided by 3 is 3, and then we're going to leave that as a fraction. And there we have it. And now you can see, remember that number by itself is our y-intercept, so that 3 would be the y-intercept, and then that negative 2/3 would be our slope. So I want you to go ahead and try this one. Steps are the exact same, just different numbers. So start by getting rid of that x term with subtraction, and then divide by the number next to your y. Alright, go ahead, pause me and try it, and then come back and check your answer when you have finished. Pause me now. Alright, hopefully you have tried this one out on your own. Just like above, we're going to get rid of that x term first, so we subtract 3x from both sides, and we have 2y equals 12 minus 3x, and now we have 2 times y, so we get to divide by that 2, and we get y equals 12 divided by 2 is 6, and then we can leave that as a fraction again. And there you have it. Beautiful. Hopefully you did that right. If you didn't, go ahead and pause me, make sure you have the right answer down, and try to figure out where it went wrong and see if you can make sense of how to get the right answer. Alright, the next one we're going to look at is slightly different. That difference being that instead of having a plus sign, we have a subtraction sign. So how do we deal with that? Same steps. First, let's get rid of the x term. Here I have 4x. Okay, that minus sign is on my 5. I can read this as a negative 5. My 4, there's nothing in front of it, which means it's a positive 4x. So I need to subtract by 4x on both sides. Okay, the only way I would add 4 is if there was a negative in front of it. But because there is not, that means it's positive. So we are going to subtract 4x from both sides. I now have negative 5y equals 20 minus 4x. And then again, the last step is to divide by the number with the y. So now this time, instead of dividing by a positive, we just divide by a negative. So we have divided by negative 5, negative 5, negative 5. Those cancel. We have y equals 20 divided by 5 is 4. They have opposite signs, so that means this is negative. And then we have a negative over a negative, which makes it positive. And then we can keep that as a fraction, 4 over 5x. And there you go. Same exact steps, just gets a little bit trickier with the negatives. Okay, go ahead and try this next one here, number 5. Again, same exact steps here. Only difference is some different numbers. So start by subtracting 2x from both sides, then divide by the number in front of your y. Go ahead, pause me, give it a whirl, and then come back when you are finished. All right, hopefully again you gave that one a shot. Again, we're going to subtract 2x from both sides because the 2x itself is positive. And we get negative 4y equals 16 minus 2x. Then we divide everything by negative 4. And we're left with y equals 16 divided by 4 is 4. And then they're opposite signs, so my answer is negative. Negative over a negative makes a positive. And we have 2 over 4x. If you simplified that as 1/2, that also works. I am okay with either answer. Again, if you got that incorrect, see if you can find your mistake and make sense of where you went wrong and make sure you have the right answer written down. All right, last one here. So if you see nothing in front of your y, we did this a little bit yesterday, what number can I imagine is there? And that is a 1. So from here, this is just like the previous problem. I have a positive 4x, so I'm going to start by subtracting 4x from both sides. Now I have negative 1y equals 20 minus 4x. And now we divide everything by negative 1. Negative 1's cancel. 20 divided by negative 1 is negative 20. Negative over a negative makes a positive. And then we have 4 over 1x. Or if you just had 4x, that is fine as well. Okay, great. So now that we've practiced some manipulating, hopefully you're feeling okay about it. In class, we're going to do some paired ec problems right here for some more practice. If you are doing this asynchronously, you do not have those problems, but you will get a little bit more practice just as we go through these graphing problems and then into the IP. There's 2 just manipulating before you get into the graphing. Again, here I really want to reiterate that it's the divide by a number next to y if there is one. So when you get into the independent practice, if you look right here at this problem, there is no number next to my y. So you simply just have to move that 4x over and then you are finished. So don't overthink that one. You got this. Alrighty. So now let's talk about the different forms here. So the slope-intercept form is what we've been dealing with. And this is when y is isolated on one side of the equal sign. We have y by itself. And that is what we have been used to looking at. What you were actually looking at up here, when we have the x and the y on the same side, we call that standard form, where x and y are on the same side of the equation, or same side of the equal sign. And then there is what we call a constant on the other. That's what the C stands for. C is just a constant, just a number, just like the 6. So the 16 here is our constant, the 12 is our constant. All right, so graphing standard form can be a pain in the booty, and that's why we are just manipulating it to make it look like this equation that we know and we love, y equals mx plus b, and then graphing it from there. So all we are doing is adding this extra step of manipulating, and then you are graphing it just like we've done the last 2 days. So let's go ahead and give one a try. So just like above, we're going to solve the equation for y by first moving the x term. So I have a negative 3x, so I'm going to add 3x to both sides. And I now have 4y equals 16 plus 3x. Now we can divide by the number next to y if there is one, and there is, it's 4. So I'm going to divide everything here by 4. 4's cancel, and we get y equals 16 divided by 4 is 4. And then we can leave that as a fraction, 3 over 4x. Okay, we have y by itself, so we know we're finished. And now we can go ahead and graph. Just like we've done, let's first identify the y-intercept and then plot it. Remember, the y-intercept is that number by itself. We've been looking at it mx plus b, but whatever number by itself is the y-intercept, so it's just moved around a little bit. It's going to be that 4. So we can make a point here at 4. And then my slope is that 3 over 4. And again, remember that that is our rise over our run. So that means from my y-intercept, remember that is our starting point, I'm going to rise 3. 1, 2, 3, and now I'm going to run 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and make my point. And then lastly, make sure you draw that line through them. Again, we're graphing lines, not points. I know that's a little off, but it'll do. No, it won't. That's going to bug me. Alrighty. So again, that graphing is the same way we've done it. The only new thing we're adding is this manipulating. Alright, make sure you have it down. Pause me if you need more time here. Again, you're working at this at your own pace, so if you need a minute to get this down, go ahead, pause me, and do that. If you're ready, let's go ahead and move on. There is a practice problem here, so I want you to complete that. Go ahead, use these steps above. Solve the equation for y by first moving the x term, and then divide by the number next to your y. Identify your y-intercept and plot. Use your slope to plot your next point, and then draw a line through them. Give it your best. Start with the manipulating, and then graph it once you have it solved for y. If you get stuck in the manipulating, come back and watch me manipulate and help you get started, and then pause me to try and graph it on your own. And then if you get stuck on the graphing, come back and unpause me again. All right, go ahead and pause me now and give it a try. All right, hopefully you gave this a try. Let's go ahead and see what this comes out to be. So again, we move the x term first, so let's add 5x to both sides here. And now we have 6y equals 30 plus 5x. And then we're going to divide by the 6. And we get y equals 30 divided by 6 is 5. And then we can keep that as a fraction, 5 over 6x. All right, if you haven't graphed it yet, pause me and try. Otherwise, let's go ahead and do it. 5 is our y-intercept, so let's make a point there first. That is our starting. Whoop. There we go. And then we're going to use that slope, 5 over 6. So we rise 5 over 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then again, we are graphing lines, so make sure you draw a line through it. Alrighty, there you go. Hopefully you did okay. Again, if you got it wrong, go ahead and make sure you have it right. And correct your answer and see where you made a mistake. The next thing I want you to do is complete this independent practice and then go from there to your mastery check. Shoot me a message when you get it done. Again, these first two are regular graphing and then just manipulating before you get into the trickier stuff. Send me a message when you're done with the mastery check so I can add your grades. Have a great day.